The sudden laughter caused the interior of the hall to become dull. An instant later, all the gazes within the large hall suddenly shifted to the entryway. Sunlight scattered down from the sky at that spot as a skinny figure slowly appeared in everyone's eyes. Xiao Yin, Feng Zunjia, Ancestor Huayun, and the others within the large hall trembled the moment that figure appeared. Their faces were filled with disbelief. A startled cry was involuntarily emitted from their mouths. Xiao Yin? He is the direct disciple of the Alliance Chief? Due to the growth of the Sky Mansion, some upper echelons currently seated within this hall possessed a blurry impression of Xiao Yan's face. Although his appearance was indistinct, they were all clearly aware of just what kind of a position Xiao Yan held within the Sky Mansion. If Yao Lao was described as the chief of the Sky Mansion Alliance, Xiao Yan was the spiritual leader of the Sky Mansion. Bang! Yao Lao mouth slightly opened. His eyes stared intently at the figure that was slowly walking in. The vast and mighty Do Qi within his body erupted due to the fluctuation in his heart, rendering the chair he was seated on into dust. However, he completely ignored this. He trembled as he stood up while his eyes actually became a little moist. He had constantly worried about Xiao Yan for these past 2 years. He had never had a wife nor a child in his life. Xiao Yan was the person closest to him. If he had known that leaving the demonic flame realm back then would have forced him to tolerate this weight that pained his heart, he would not even hesitate to remain behind. The other upper echelons of the Sky Mansion felt somewhat startled in their hearts after seeing Yao Lao. Over the years, Yao Lao had only displayed an ancient well-like calmness. Even while facing a giant being like the Hall of Souls, Yao Lao did not reveal the slightest emotional fluctuation. This emotional outburst was the first time they had not seen him calm after all these years. Xiao Yan's body swayed gently in front of the many pairs of eyes in the large hall, after which he appeared in front of Yao Lao. He looked at the old man, who was so excited that his tears were beginning to fall. An apology rose within Xiao Yan's heart. His 2-year absence had caused Yao Lao to worry. "Teacher, I am back?" Some emotion surged within both of their hearts as the teacher and disciple met. Finally, a soft voice was emitted that caused one to feel extremely emotional. "Haha, it is good that you are back. It is good that you are back." Yao Lao wiped away his tears. That old face, which had been tense for the last 2 years, finally revealed a smile. His shriveled hand continued to pat Xiao Yan's shoulder while he repeated the same words over and over again. "Ha ha, old Yao. I have said many times that this little fellow would not experience such a short life. Do you believe me now?" Ancestor Huayun laughed. He exhaled deeply after seeing that Xiao Yan had successfully returned. This little fellow seemed to possess a demonic strength that calmed one's heart. His heart, which had been suffering under the pressure of the Hall of Souls, immediately relaxed the moment he saw Xiao Yan. "Haha, Junior Alliance Chief is really timely. You are able to help relieve some of the pressure the Alliance is dealing with by coming out of your retreat. If the both of us join hands, we should be able to hold back the Chief of the Hall of Souls." The first elder from the small pill tower laughed out of joy. Given his current strength, it should not be a problem for him to deal with the Chief of the Hall of Souls alone. Xiao Chen, who was seated in a corner, faintly laughed faintly and made a statement after the first elder's words sounded. The first elder, Yao Lao, and the others were startled upon hearing these words. Their eyes scanned Xiao Yan with some shock. Xiao Chun was the strongest person present. Since he had uttered these words, no one here would doubt him. You have refined the purifying demonic lotus flame?" Yao Lao was the fastest to react. He was startled for a moment before he involuntarily exclaimed, "By luck." Xiao Yan grinned. This little fellow." Ancestor Huiyun and the rest inhaled a breath of cool air after hearing that Xiao Yan did not deny this claim. They exchanged glances with each other, and were able to see the shock in each other's eyes. Most of them had entered the demonic flame realm and clearly understood just how frightening the purifying demonic lotus flame was. It was a frightening existence that even the ancestor of the Pill Tower was unable to gain the upper hand against. They had all thought that Xiaoyan had been extremely lucky to successfully escape from the demonic flame realm. Honestly speaking, none of them had even thought about the matter of subduing the purifying demonic lotus flame when Xiaoyan had appeared earlier. This was because the purifying demonic lotus flame was far too terrifying. There was no lack of experts far stronger than Xiaoyan who had attempted to subdue it over these thousands of years. However, all of them had returned in failure without exception. Good, haha, good. Yao Lao recovered after his initial shock. His old face was filled with joy that could not be hidden. In the eyes of many alchemists, a heavenly flame like the purifying demonic lotus flame was a divine object that they could not hope to reach. No one had subdued that flame since the purifying demonic lotus saint had subdued it back then. Yet Xiaoyan had created another miracle. With the purifying demonic lotus flame, Yao Lao did not doubt that Xiaoyan would be able to fight the chief of the Hall of Souls alone without being defeated. With the Junior Alliance chief's help, we should be able to deal with this attack from the Hall of Souls. This is really a joyous matter. The first elder laughed. It was extremely good that Xiaoyan would be able to deal with the chief of the Hall of Souls alone. In this way, he would be able to free the first elder's hands and greatly reduce the pressure the Alliance faced. Haha, Junior Alliance Chief is a blessing to the Alliance. The many members of the upper echelons within the hall hurriedly laughed and respectfully cried out. Although their words carried some weight within the Alliance, they clearly understood in their hearts that there was an unmeasurable gap between them and Xiaoyan's current status. The Sky Mansion Alliance was something that Xiaoyan had established. He had spent a lot of effort creating it. Although Yao Lao was the Alliance chief, some of the true core members, like Ancestor Huiyun, understood that Yao Lao was merely helping Xiaoyan manage this incomparably large faction. The entire alliance actually belonged to one person, and that person was Xiaoyan. Xiaoyan did not show a cold and indifferent expression when he saw these somewhat foreign faces fill with warmth and respect. He smiled, chatted with everyone, causing many of the usually arrogant individuals to feel flattered. Haha, the matter today shall end here. Everyone, please return and organize yourselves. Observe every action of the Hall of Souls. Since they are planning to engage in a decisive battle with us, we will use reality to show them that the current alliance is not the least bit afraid of the Hall of Souls. Understood. Everyone felt their blood boil within their hearts as Yao Lao passionately cried out about receiving this battle. There had been far too many conflicts between the two factions during the last 2 years. The differences between the two were growing, and they could no longer ruthlessly fight each other. This matched what many people were thinking in their hearts, since this decisive battle would truly determine the overlord of the Central Plains. This coming fight between an old faction, the Hall of Souls, and a newly risen alliance, the Sky Mansion Alliance, will send the Central Plains into an uproar. After the end of the meeting in the hall, Xiaoyan chatted with the excited Yao Lao about some of the big and small matters that had occurred within the Sky Mansion during these years. After that chat, he returned to his quiet courtyard, a place he had not been in for 2 years. "Daddy!" A familiar cry full of joy immediately sounded after Xiaoyan entered the courtyard. A smiling figure quickly shot toward him from afar, making an arc in the air. Haha, this little girl has grown quite a lot. Xiaoyan smiled as he extended his hand and firmly embraced that delicate figure. Xiao Xiao quickly revealed her happy and tender face, causing his heart to involuntarily fill with a warmth. This was his home. Regardless of the danger he experienced, he would be able to swiftly expel the fatigue in his heart after coming home. She has been waiting patiently after hearing that you had returned. a warm and gentle voice appeared in front of Xiao Yin while he was lovingly hugging Xiao Xiao. Xiao Yin lifted his head and saw the little fairy doctor wearing a formal robe. She was looking at him with a smile. She radiated more warmth than she had 2 years ago. The gentleness that she emanated seeped into one's heart, causing one to feel an addiction bloom. You have become a Dosheng? Xiao Yin continued to hug Xiao Xiao as looked at the little fairy doctor and asked with a smile. With his eyesight, he was naturally able to sense her 1-star Dosheng strength. She had already broken through that barrier within 2 years, leaping past the Bansheng class to reach the 1st star of the Dosheng class. This speed was quite impressive. It is all thanks to that drop of demonic saint essence blood. The little fairy doctor grinned. She caught sight of Xiao Yan's sweeping eyes and involuntarily laughed. Kai Lin has not come out ever since she entered that 9 serene spring back then. However, you need not be worried. Qing Lin and I head to the territory of the 9 serene deep ground python tribe every once in a while. She should have met a lucky encounter at the bottom of the spring. We can sense her aura, but we are unable to enter the bottom of the spring. Xiao Yan's expression involuntarily changed upon hearing this news. If one counted the time, did it not mean that Kai Lin had stayed at the bottom of the spring for almost 3 years? He had also been near the bottom of the spring, but he had not sensed anything amiss. Could she be in the even deeper region? Xiao Yin frowned. The 9 serene spring was connected to the depths of the earth. The dark and cold force at those depths were places that caused even him to be afraid. If she really experienced a lucky encounter, he could only think of that region. As a 7-colored heaven-swallowing python, remaining in contact with that extremely dark energy might indeed be a lucky encounter. Looks like I will need to hurry to the 9 serene deep ground python tribe after resolving the matters of the alliance. Xiao Yin shook his head. He temporarily suppressed the worry in his heart. Currently, the most important thing was to resolve the Hall of Souls trouble. News of Xiao Yan's return to the Sky Mansion Alliance spread with lightning-like speed. Within less than a day, this news had made its way across all the territories the Sky Mansion Alliance owned. In an instant, the Sky Mansion had become unusually heated. No one could doubt the reputation Xiao Yin wielded within the Alliance. Although the Alliance had engaged in fiery hot battles with the Hall of Souls during these last 2 years, Xiao Yan's absence had caused the morale of the Alliance to fall, especially for some disciples from the Falling Star Pavilion. That figure had descended like a divine being when all hope had been lost at their most desperate hour. He subsequently reversed the bleak situation with his own strength. The shock that was created from being rescued time and time again had gradually burrowed deep into everyone's hearts with the flow of time, causing them to feel a heartfelt respect and fear for that person. Although Yao Lao was still present while Xiao Yin was absent and nothing chaotic had happened, the upper echelons of the Sky Mansion were still able to sense the problems that Xiao Yan's unknown fate had generated. Fortunately, the matters that had given them a headache automatically disappeared following Xiao Yan's return. The current alliance could finally release its frightening fighting strength under the leadership of this spiritual leader. While news of Xiao Yan's return wildly spread within the Sky Mansion Alliance, the Hall of Souls sank into silence. Even the matter of Xiao Yin destroying a branch hall in passing was not mentioned. It appeared as though the Hall of Souls had quietly swallowed this incident. This situation was relatively exciting from the way the ordinary members of the Sky Mansion Alliance saw it. They naturally related this matter to Xiao Yin, who had just returned. In an instant, Xiao Yan's reputation in the Alliance soared once again. Relying on one's own strength to suppress the domineering Hall of Souls could only be described as terrifying. Of course, these thoughts were naturally limited to the ordinary members of the Sky Mansion. Those from the upper echelons understood that this was merely the calm before the storm. The Hall of Souls was definitely gathering experts and preparing to deliver a fatal blow to the Sky Mansion Alliance. The pressure bred by the calm before the storm prompted Yao Lao to raise the defenses of the alliance their highest level. Countless spies swarmed out like locusts. Any minor occurrences within the Central Plains would be transmitted back to the Sky Mansion Alliance as fast as possible. The somewhat pressuring silence continued for 5 full days. The number of conflicts between the Alliance and the Hall of Souls had strangely diminished during these 5 days. It appeared as though both parties were holding back and not taking the initiative to attack. They both guarded their own territories and maintained extreme caution. While both parties were facing off, some other factions sensed that something was wrong. Hence, countless pairs of eyes were roaming between the Sky Mansion Alliance and the Hall of Souls. Some of the sensitive individuals quietly detected a hidden flow. The Hall of Souls and the Sky Mansion Alliance had fought for many years. Although the fighting was extremely intense, they had not dispatched their true peak experts yet. Everyone knew that the final battle between the two large factions would begin the moment the peak experts clashed. A defeat would mean that the fight between the Sky Mansion Alliance and the Hall of Soul had ended with a victor. If the Sky Mansion Alliance was victorious, the overlord of the Central Plains would likely change. If the Sky Mansion Alliance lost, they would ultimately be weaker when facing the Hall of Souls in the future. This might not appear like much of a problem on the surface, but it would destroy the Alliance. The members of the Sky Mansion Alliance all felt proud that the Alliance could contend with the Hall of Souls. After all, only the Sky Mansion Alliance could fight the Hall of Souls even after all these years. If a day came and caused this pride to disappear, they would lose their spiritual belief. This was a relatively serious matter for such a huge faction. Hence, some people were able to detect the oncoming storm amid this strange atmosphere. The fight between both parties this time around would really be earth-shaking. While the outside world was anticipating the actions of the Sky Mansion and Hall of Souls, Xiao Yin had shut himself away. He guarded a quiet courtyard and listened to Xiao Zhao's clear laughter. His heart was filled with a warmth. Without realizing it, he had been away from his daughter for 2 years. If one were to talk about it, he was really an irresponsible father. He was many times worse compared to how Xiao Zhan had raised him. Xiao Xiao had grown a lot during these 2 years. She had gradually changed from a noisy little toddler into a youth. Despite being young, she had inherited her mother's bewitching appearance. Her entire being radiated a perfect beauty. Once she grew up, she would definitely be the kind of girl whose beauty could spawn a disaster. Growing older allowed Xiao Zhao's strength to grow by leaps and bounds. Her soul had been incomparably strong since birth. Moreover, there was also the 7-colored heaven-swallowing python within her body. It was impossible to use ordinary speed to measure her training. Moreover, the thing that surprised Xiao Yin was that the usually quiet and expressionless ancestor Xiao Chen, who was old-fashioned and strange, was extremely warm toward Xiao Xiao. From what the little fairy doctor had told him, Xiao Chen had passed on everything that he knew to Xiao Xiao during the 2 years that Xiao Yin had been missing. It seemed as though he was only one step short of passing all of his dou qi to her. Xiao Yin bitterly smiled because of Xiao Xiao. She had been blessed with a great amount of love. It was really quite depressing to compare oneself with another. His training during these years had been incomparably tough. The young man from back then had carried a heavy ruler, walked out of Wu Tan City, and roamed most of the Jiaomai Empire. He continued on his path and finally arrived here. He had put in an unspeakable amount of effort in the process. However, the achievements he had achieved through hard work were easily obtained by Xiao Xiao. She was treated completely different. While Xiao Yin was accompanying Xiao Xiao and being a father for these few days, Xiao Yin had come across Qing Lin and Tian Huazunjia. The current Qing Lin had also reached the 1st star of the Dosheng class. She had attained an extremely high position with the Alliance, but she did not really bother with the day-to-day matters of the Alliance. On the other hand, when he met Tian Huazunjia, the both of them ended up sighing a little. At this moment, Tianhua Zunjia's strength had recovered to his previous peak and then some. He had reached the peak of the Do Zun class with the help of the medicinal pills Yao Lao had refined. Although there was only a step to the Banshan class, he did not know whether or not he would be able to take this step within his lifetime. However, Tianhua Zunjia was not affected by this dilemma. He was supposed to be dead already. If Xiao Yin had not rescued him from the magma world beneath Jianan Academy back then, he would have already vanished, but he had not only managed to gain a physical body again, even his strength had far surpassed his previous peak. He was already very pleased and did not feel the drive to challenge Qing Lin, the little fairy doctor, and the others from the younger generation. Xiao Yin could only quietly nod his head as Tianhua Zunjia expressed his free and easy thoughts. He quietly remembered this matter in his heart. Ever since he had rescued Tianhua Zunjia back then, Tianhua Zunjia had been a good teacher and friend. His rich experience had guided Xiao Yin away from many detours. Although he had subsequently helped Tianhua Zunjia refine a body, he was someone who would repay a favor many times over. He would naturally try to find a way to allow Tianhua Zunjia to break through to the Banshan class. Although this would be difficult, it was not a completely impossible task with his alchemy skills. The few days of peace quietly flowed by in this manner. Xiao Yin felt extremely relaxed during these few days. Due to some unknown reason, his present self was enjoying spending time with his kin. He somewhat mockingly thought that the reason he was enjoying it was because he was aging. However, these warm and peaceful days would ultimately come to an end. After silence had reigned between the Sky Mansion and the Hall of Souls for 7 days, a blood-red challenge letter that was delivered to the Alliance, breaking the silence. The challenge letter was delivered by the Hall of Souls. Xiao Yin stood with his hands behind him under a stone pavilion within the courtyard. The blood-red challenge letter was quietly lying on the stone table in front of him. There was a dense bloody scent vaguely being emitted from it. The Hall of Souls is finally unable to endure any longer. Yao Lao's hand gently rubbed the stone table as he stood beside Xiao Yin. His expression was a little strange as he said, "However, this challenge letter is targeting you." Xiao Yin boasts an extremely great reputation within the Sky Mansion Alliance. The morale of the Alliance will collapse if he is defeated. Xiao Chen responded in a faint voice. Xiao Yin slightly smiled. He gently flicked his finger, and the blood-colored challenge letter on the stone table opened. A bloody vapor spluttered out before turning into some blood-colored words. These words were filled with a stern aura as they floated in the air in front of him. Sky Mansion, Xiao Yin, we will fight to the death on the Fallen Mountain in 3 days' time.